Well, good evening, everybody. We're just going to wait about 30 more seconds or so for those who are still joining. So we will get started here in just a minute. Okay, well, it is 4:31, so we want to definitely be respectful of your time. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to our question and answer session for the class of 2026 and that registration process to get those schedules built here at the high school. My name is Kathleen Johnson. I am one of the 5 school counselors here at the high school, and my caseload is students with the last name of N through SI. So I should change that in my title here, N through SI, that is my caseload. Susie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Great. My name's Susie Brown, and I am the counselor for those of you whose last names are A through D. So Bernie.
And I'm Bernie Lanou, and I am the counselor for KLM. KLM, right in the middle of the alphabet.
I just think of the airline. That's how I remember it.
I do too. More than you know.
I bet you do.
So we are here today to hopefully answer any of the lingering questions that you have about the registration process. We hope at this time you have had a chance to watch all of our registration videos. If you have not done that, we definitely encourage you to go back, watch each video. We think that most of the questions that you may have should at least be slightly addressed in those videos. I know you're all here, so that may have generated additional questions that we can cover. But if you haven't seen those videos, please do go back and view those. They're super informational. And like I said, I think you should get a lot of your questions answered through those videos. We did want to highlight a couple of key dates here for you before we jump into the registration process. The next upcoming date that we really want to make sure you're aware of is January 25th. We are going to be holding our curriculum fair for our class of 2026 students and their families. And as much as we had hoped to have that in person, we were planning on an in-person curriculum fair. We have decided to move that to a virtual curriculum fair just to ensure everyone's safety with these rising COVID numbers. So please do join us though. This is a really great opportunity for you and your students to get a chance to meet department head teachers from each of the academic areas. So if you have a very specific question about the curriculum or the placement for your child, this is the time to come and meet those teachers. They're going to be just a wealth of information for you and will be able to answer any curriculum specific questions that you may have. So please do join us. All of the Zoom links for that will be posted. You can pop in and out of as many sessions as you want. So we don't have a very specific schedule. If you just need to see the math department head, you can just go see her. Or if you have 3 or 4 teachers you want to chat with, you can jump around to those different Zoom links on your schedule. So that Zoom session will be running anywhere between 5:30 and 7. And then everyone's most excited about getting these classes added. And the good news is Skyward is open now. So if we have any students here with us tonight, you are able to go in and start your registration process. That is going to be open until 11:59 on February 1st. So if you get nothing else, please make sure you have that date in your mind, that February 1st at 11:59 p.m. Skyward will shut down and you will be unable to add your courses for your freshman year.
And can I interject here? Is that okay? I
Please.
want everybody to know this isn't a race. Okay, you're putting in your requests, and we generate our master schedule based on your requests. So we want them to be as accurate as possible. So running home tonight and not thinking about it and entering things is not a good thing. That's why we've given you so much time. We want you to all really think about everything, and we wanted to give you plenty of time to go to the curriculum fair, to talk to your current teachers, you know, to really think about all the exciting things that you're going to get to do next year, and then just make sure that it's all in by February 1st. So, and you can change. So if you put something in tonight and then 4 days from now you decide, oh, maybe I need to change that English class or what have you, you can change everything up to February 1st. We want it to be as accurate as possible. So take your time. It's not a race.
Thanks, Susie. You may have heard this in the videos, but if there is a lingering question after this evening or after you've chatted with the department head teacher at the curriculum fair, we do have this email address for your use. Feel free to use that, and hopefully we can get whatever remaining questions you have answered. And I maybe should have started with how this process is going to work. So we do have this obviously set up kind of in a webinar style so that you're able to see the three of us, hopefully feel a little bit like we're right there with you. We wish we could be there in person with you. So this is our next best option so that you can maybe feel like we're here, we're in your house. Maybe that's weird, but we're here. Also, please do utilize the chat. That is how we want you to be able to engage with us and ask your questions as we're going through. If we see common questions coming up, we'll certainly pause our conversations here and answer questions. And then any remaining questions that we have time for in the end, we'll absolutely address those at the end. So you've got that chat feature. Please use that for your questions. Okay, so just a really quick reminder of what a typical 9th grade schedule looks like. There are 3 core areas that every 9th grader will add to their schedule. And those 3 core academic areas are English, math, and science. So we're going to cover those and help you and your students really feel like you have a good understanding of what the appropriate class is for you in those 3 areas. And then all freshmen also are going to take 3 additional courses for a total of 6 classes. So 3 in the academic core areas, English, math, and science, those are required. Everyone will do those. And then we've got 3 additional options, and we'll cover those here in the remainder of this presentation. Okay, with that, I'm going to let Susie take on over.
Great. Well, all freshmen are going to have 3 options for English. We've got 2 listed here, and we'll talk about the next one in the next slide. English 9 is our standard English. All of our courses, and I want everybody to understand this, all of our courses are going to prepare your students for whatever they do post high school, whether it be a 4-year college, 2-year college, technical institute, art institute, whatever that might be. So I can tell you that even, you think about just English 9, it is going to be a challenging course. So if you love English and you really feel like you have a handle on, you're a strong writer, you're a strong reader, you have really good analytical skills, and you even want to raise them to a higher level, you might want to consider the English 9 honors class. I love our English 9. They get to read some great books. English 9 honors follows most of those, but they move at a bit of a faster clip. The grading standard is a bit higher. The amount of homework, probably 1.5 to 2 hours more, I believe, a week. So I always tell people, if you love English, go for that challenge. If you like English, or you just need to do English because you want to graduate and go on to do something afterwards, that English 9 is still a really engaging class. So you'll talk about those. I do encourage you to talk to your current English teachers as well, because they will help you be able to assess you so that you get in the right place with the right balance in your overall schedule. Our third option is something that's near and dear to my heart. At Mercer Island, we do not have an alternative school per se, like many of the other districts. We have a alternative program called the CREST Learning Center. I always like to refer to it as the lower campus. We have upper and lower campus. Students walk back and forth between the two. This is not sometimes people say, well, you're sending me off there. That's not how CREST works. CREST is an application only school or program. You have to visit, you fill out an application. It's a community-based program. So you really have to want to be part of a wonderful community. It is a project-based learning community. It offers smaller class size. And it's smaller so that people can get a little bit more individual attention, a lot of personalized learning. They do a lot of group presentations, group work. Sometimes they have to create their own assignments and grading systems based on specific outcomes and specific standards. It's a really wonderful option, especially for those creative types for which maybe a traditional classroom is stifling or harder for them to work in. I believe the middle school counselors will be, if we're able, they're going to be setting up a visit, and they will also be giving us an idea of students who might be interested in the program. So if this is something that you might be interested in, after you read in the catalog some of the description and such, you'll want to talk to your middle school counselor to see if we're going to do, we'll probably either do some kind of a Zoom intro type thing, CREST will, or I don't know if we'll get to do the visit for everybody this year, but it's a pretty wonderful program for a good subset of students. Did I leave anything out? Nope. Okay.
Okay, so let's talk about math. Math is one of the areas that tends to be the most confusing. So we'll spend a little bit of time talking through your options. Again, I want to remind you about that curriculum fair that's coming up on the 25th. Kate Yoder is our department head teacher. She's amazing. She's seen every situation I think you can imagine. So she's going to be a really great resource for you. But in determining which math course you should be adding to your high school registration, and remember, this is one of the 3 courses that all freshmen will take. This chart that you see here, I think that should be really helpful in helping you decide which is the appropriate math course for you and your interests and your skill sets. So let's start with those of you who maybe are taking the IMS Math 8. You actually have 2 options here during your freshman year. You can choose Algebra 1. Algebra 1 meets for the first semester and the second semester. You earn that full credit in that year-long course in Algebra 1. If you, however, are somebody who maybe feels like math is not your strong point, you have gifts in other areas, or maybe you just need a slower pace in math, the E1 and E2 option for your freshman year really might be the better option for you. So what ends up happening in our E1, E2 class is that you're taking essentially the first semester of Algebra 1, and you're spreading that out over the course of the year. And then your sophomore year, you're finishing Algebra 1 curriculum by taking Algebra E3, E4. So you get an extra year of math curriculum, of algebra curriculum. For those of you who just really feel like you need maybe some more foundational skills in math, you need a little bit more practice, a little bit more time to cover that material. So for students who take Algebra E1, E2 as freshmen, as I mentioned, you'll take E3, E4 as a sophomore, Geometry as a junior, and then Algebra 2 or its equivalent based on your unique high school and beyond plan. That would be your senior year. So that is a 4-year math sequence of courses. The E1, E2, E3, E4 class, it is college bound. That is a class that colleges will be accepting because it is the Algebra 1 curriculum. We're just spreading that out over the course of 2 years. Now, if you are currently in algebra, you also have 2 options. You may choose geometry, or you can choose honors geometry. And I just want to highlight with all of our math classes, these are true honors courses. They are faster paced. They are going to require more independent study time, more independent work time, more homework. There is more critical analysis and application of the information you're learning to outside world. So it really is challenging students to think more broadly within the terms of math. So if you are a math person, this is your passion, honors geometry might be the right fit for you if you are currently taking algebra. There is no requirement to be enrolled in honors. However, so if you want to just get your feet wet in that geometry course your freshman year, you are absolutely welcome to do that. Now, if we have anyone here who is currently taking geometry, your option actually, this is a little confusing on this chart, but this is a good thing to remember. If you're currently taking geometry, your option is Honors Algebra 2. You are already 2 years advanced in math, and so our math department has decided that the best place for freshmen who are already in geometry right now as 8th graders would be the Honors Algebra 2 class. So this may be, hopefully that covered everybody. If not, again, please, come to the curriculum fair, ask what the right math placement would be. You can kind of use this chart, but I know math can cause a little bit of angst. So I'll pause for a second and see if we've got any questions coming in with the chat on math. Nope, I think we're good. It doesn't mean you can't ask those questions later, but I think we can go ahead and move on then.
I would say there was one question about CREST and the subjects, and I did say that, for freshmen, that the CREST block, which is an English 9 Biz Tech block, is what's offered, and it's a wonderful option. And I also encouraged families to look at our course catalog for descriptions of the various courses. Our horticulture course is housed there, as is our online program and some other very subject specific courses.
And to address the question about geometry and regular sophomore, yes.
Yeah. Yes.
The majority of freshmen, I think nationwide, are taking algebra.
Yes.
And then in the sophomore year, they would be taking geometry. Mm-hmm. Or there are other models, of course, but that's the most common. So that is correct. Okay. And I'm going to talk a little bit about science and our science pathways here at Mercer Island High School. And the freshman year is what you're looking at ahead. And so we take our chemistry and our physics, and instead of teaching just a general science in 9th grade, we split chem and phys into 2 years and then stick biology right smack in the middle of it in the sophomore year. And one of the reasons for that is there is some math, some advanced level math that is taught that is important for the chemistry and the physics classes. And so to have those, you'll see down there in the flow chart, the chemistry 2 and the physics 2, to have that in the junior year after you have a little more solid math background is important. So the choices for next year when you go into Skyward are going to be Chem 1 and Physics 1, or Chem 1 Honors, or Physics 1 Honors. And putting your requests into Skyward is just that. You're going to, each of them is a semester-long class. You're not going to be choosing the semester you have the class. It's not going to be, semester 1 or semester 2. Skyward will do that automatically in the scheduling process once we get to that point. And then you can see there the flow chart. We have a lot of science options for those STEM-oriented people in the world. And most of the choices, as you can see, happen for the junior and senior years. So getting a good foundation is important. And you can see the choices there for later. You don't have to worry about that now. You just need to kind of decide, should I be doing an honors? And again, it's kind of like what Ms. Brown was saying. If you love the subject, if you enjoy studying it, then honors is certainly a good path. You should probably not take honors if it's a struggle, if you have to work extra hard at being successful with it just because you think you have to get certain number of advanced placement or honors classes down the road. That would be the wrong reason. You have to do what's right for you and for your learning style and your interests. So I think that covers it. If there's anything else, we can move to the next category.
Bernie, I just want to emphasize, and I apologize, I was answering a question in the chat, so you may have covered this, but just in case, just to re-emphasize it, if you are opting the honors physics, you need to choose honors chemistry. You can't do one as honors and the other as non-honors. So as you're adding that, just be sure you're adding both as honors.
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah.
And I'm going to suggest something. There are some really good questions coming in, but they're coming in as direct messages. And I think there are questions that would benefit everybody. And correct me if I'm wrong, Kathleen and Bernie, if there's a different recommend, but unless it's a real personal question, I think some of these questions, everybody would benefit from seeing what we're writing in the chat. So if you wanted to, if you feel comfortable, you could write your question. If you think it's something that would benefit everybody, you could write it to everybody so that when we respond, it would go out so everybody could see the answer. Often those questions that you have are the same ones everybody else has. So just a suggestion.
And Bernie, did you talk about horticulture by chance?
I didn't talk about horticulture. We do have one more science option that is, you want to, it's the, how do you say it, Susie? You say it so much better. But horticulture is not for everybody. But if science really is not your
bailiwick,
your best subject, your favorite thing, we do have a horticulture class complete with a greenhouse and lots of hands-on experience. Over, and it's housed over at the CREST Learning Center. And it's really quite something. And that is an option. It would be an option, though, that would be through some conversation and some discussion. It wouldn't be just, I want to take horticulture in my freshman year. It would be a little bit more involved in that.
Yeah. Horticulture is a class that often our older students take after they've done some, but we are also encouraging, and some of you whose students maybe struggle with math a little bit might hear or you might get, someone might suggest to you that you take the intro to horticulture, that your student takes the intro to horticulture. It will have a little bit less math than our chemistry and physics programs. So if your student maybe is not yet in algebra, sometimes we encourage students to do horticulture in their freshman year. It's a wonderful hands-on program and you get to like reap the benefits. Like I went down and had lunch one day and we had big salads made from the hydroponic system they were growing. But you might do horticulture in your freshman year as you're kind of learning more math and kind of mastering some math skills. Then you would take the Chem 1, Phys 1 in sophomore year. You would take biology in junior year, and then you would take Chem 2, Phys 2 in senior year, or another option. And we like to do that because we want to make sure that whatever you think you want to do post high school, we have a pathway for you. So, starting in horticulture will still allow you to get through those science classes that you would need should you choose to go to a four-year college, a two-year college, a technical institute, etc. It does not limit you. It just helps you master your skills. So I think that's really important.
Okay. And then we are fortunate to have 3 world language options taught here at the high school: French, Mandarin, Chinese, and Spanish. And students can go all the way through from year 1 to an advanced placement level in a language. And there's a lot of flexibility about when you start your language. You do not have to start a language in 9th grade. You can wait and start it in 10th grade, or even in some cases in 11th grade and do 2 years that way. So there's flexibility and there's choice. In some exceptional cases, we might see a student wanting Some other language not offered here, maybe Japanese or German have been a couple of common wishes, and those can be done through our Mercer Island Online program, through an approved, accredited educational provider. So that's the world language options. Some of you we know are doing your language already and will be coming into the second year. But again, that's a decision that's really driven by what you're currently studying and what your teacher thinks you're ready for. Okay. Social studies.
Social studies. So social studies is an elective in 9th grade. Any of you who went to school in Washington State a few years back probably remember your Washington State history class. And quite a few years ago, they decided to move that down to the middle school so that kids would have more opportunity to take more arts and more science and just more classes that they might really enjoy. However, some kids, that sounds funny. However, some kids love history. They really do. I was one of those kids. And so what we've done is our history department added a 4th year of an elective in early civilization. We have an early civilization 1 semester course, and we have an early civilization 2 semester year-long course. We really encourage students who love history and it fits to take this class. It is also a class that is highly recommended for any student who is considering honors or AP courses down the road. It is a rigorous course, especially the year-long course. They'll delve into research, they'll delve more in depth into original documents. And so it's a great class that I would highly recommend for those of you that either, number one, love history and would love to delve more into the early civilization, or those of you that really are looking at the honors and AP courses. If you are looking at this going history, not so much. It is not a requirement. So therefore, you could put an art class that you might like in there, or a band class, or some really cool computer class. So it is an elective, which means you have all kinds of choices.
Susie, we have a question about whether early civilizations is required for future honors courses.
So at Mercer Island, we don't have what are called hardcore requirements. In other words, if you don't take early civilization, you still have a chance of getting into the class. However, I will tell you, and this is a social studies English person, it would be very hard to do well without having the background and the skills and the specific pieces that are taught in this class. So if you are considering, if you love history and you want to take those intensive history courses down the road, I would say that our social studies department would be, they can't insist, but they would be very encouraging of you taking this class. I would I can't recommend it enough if that's where you're going, because you really do need those skills.
Okay, so we've talked about social studies, we've talked about world language. Those are some of your elective options, but we're going to touch base on a couple of the other areas that fall under the elective. So if we think back to an earlier slide, we saw that you have the 3 core areas, math, English, and science. We are now talking about the 3 optional or the 3 additional courses that you can add. So let's start with our fine and performing arts. The fine and performing arts category, it is a diploma requirement. The state actually requires that students take classes in this area. So it's a great option to start taking as a freshman. Within our fine and performing arts, we have a wide variety of classes, everything from your bands and choirs and orchestra to guitar, We have an amazing drama program. So we have drama classes and tech theater classes. Then we have our traditional art classes. So your drawing and painting, your ceramics, your wheel thrown pottery. We have a glass arts class, jewelry. So we have a really great option or great selection of classes for your incoming freshmen. So please take some time to read through the course catalog, familiarize yourself with those options. You really can't go wrong with anything in fine and performing arts. So it really is a great option for our freshmen just to get their feet wet, have some fun in their freshman schedule. Our next category of elective options falls within the college and career readiness. So you'll hear this referred to as CCR. Sometimes it will be called the career and technical education. We call it the CCR classes. These are classes that, again, fall into that 3-course elective area as the freshman schedule goes. And this includes a huge variety of classes as well. And in fact, some of our art classes actually fall into a CCR area. A lot of times students will take business classes, and business would fall into this area. So your accountings and marketings. We have some really, really great options for students. So we have an amazing course catalog. It is designed so you can just click on it. It's hyperlinked. It will take you to that one specific area. So if you want to learn more about all of the CCR electives and what those course descriptions are, please use that course catalog. I think you'll find that it's really user-friendly. Susie, thank you for all the hard work that you did on that course catalog.
We're laughing right now, everybody, because I think I've read it 30 million times just in the last week, trying to make sure there's no errors in it.
I should have mentioned this too. The state does actually require 1 credit of CCR coursework. So, if you're thinking, well, do we really want to do an elective? You are working towards a diploma requirement by taking a CCR course or a fine arts elective in the freshman year. We do want to highlight this one. It is not because we love this class any more than any of our others. We love all of our elective classes equally, but we want to highlight this particular class, Business Communications and Technology, because it is only available to freshmen. So if there is any interest in this class at all, you definitely want to register for this class for freshman year, because that option will go away once you turn into a sophomore and a junior and a senior. This is a really great class. It's a nice supplement actually to our English classes. I do want to clarify though, it's not an English class. So this is not, double writing, double reading. It is helping students learn some of that technical writing skill that they'll need with research papers, that they'll need in more of a professional setting. As counselors, we love this class because of the career component that is taught there. There's some resume development, there's some discussion about career clusters and really identifying career areas that students may be interested in. And as a bonus, by taking this course, it is a year-long course, which means that it is a full credit. Freshmen who take this class have met that CCR requirement by the end of their freshman year. So you don't have to think about it ever again if you enroll in this class. So again, not that we love it anymore, but it is only available to our freshmen.
Physical education and health. Okay, that's my turn. And we have a range of classes to choose from. There are 3 different areas here. You want to go to that next slide for, we require 3 credits. Oh, actually, go ahead and back up because I'll say this before we look at the 3 options. In physical education, we require 1.5 credits, so 3 semester classes, and then 1 health class. And health is something that can be done at any point in your high school career. There's an image health class that works for grade 9 or 10. And then if you waited till grade 11 or 12 to do the health, you could take the personal family relations class. And so that's very flexible. And the next slide shows 3 different options for getting some of these PE credits done. And option 1, obviously, you can take all 3 of those semester classes here on campus with us. You can see the list there under the green option 1. If you're an athlete doing a sport, your coaches will give some guidance along the way in the season about earning that half a credit for your sport. And you can earn up to 1.0, a whole year's worth of credit for your sport. And cheer and drill are included in that. And then the third option is really a positive, flexible option because some students, for example, one of my students is doing fencing, and fencing is not one of our school sports, but they are able to get approved through the athletic department and keep a record of their hours. And when they've reached 75 hours of fencing instruction and activity, they will be able to earn a half a credit towards their PE requirement. So lots of flexibility there for PE. And keep in mind that it's on the options 2 and 3, that it's a maximum of 1.0 that can be earned through those different pathways. And that means you would take one of the on-campus PE classes. And I see it just came up in the chat, does marching band count towards PE credits? And no, it does not. We know that marching is exercise. We know that there's a big time commitment there, but that is not currently a PE classes. And yes, 150 hours does get 1 credit. Right,
one credit, but not, this person wrote per semester. It's not per semester. 0.5 is, go ahead, Bernie, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, no, go ahead and finish that
I was
thought.
just gonna say, so 0.5 is, that's 1 semester, and that is a 75, that's 75 hours. So
Right.
it's 150 for a 1.0, which would be a full year.
Yeah, and how much time you take to earn that 150 hours, that's very, very individual. It depends on how often you are doing your activity each day, each week, each month. And so some people might reach that 150 mark sooner than others. It just depends on what you're involved in. COVID has certainly had an impact on that in terms of accessibility for certain activities, just because of precautionary measures. So keep that in mind.
And I would just add that if you are interested in looking at option 3, that off-campus athletics, please just remember it does need to be pre-approved.
Yes.
You don't want to start collecting your hours until you get that form signed. And you would be doing that as a freshman. So, you know, if our first day of school next year is September 1st, I don't know that. I'm just throwing that out there. If it's September 1st, you can start getting those forms approved as of September 1st. But no, you won't be able to backdate for anything that you had done prior to your form being approved.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That's a good point.
It's very important.
Okay.
Okay, so that actually covered all of our academic areas that we wanted to be sure to just re-present to you as a refresher. If you've watched those videos, you know, last week or so. Susie, if you don't mind, would you mind kind of just talking briefly about balance and really how to build that ideal schedule?
I'm going to look at the two of you because this is actually my favorite subject and I'm very passionate and I end up talking too much about it. But high school is a big change from middle school. Okay, grades are earned based on performance. Kids get involved in a lot of activities. There's so much going on with them emotionally and socially and physically. And we all really want you to sit down with your student. And I want you all to kind of clear your mind of what things were like when you were a student or what you've heard from your best friend's mother who lived down the street who said that 20 years ago, this is how it was done. And I want you to look at that precious, wonderful child in front of you. And I want you to have a real talk with them. I think you should sketch out some pieces because I want you to remember that there really is only 24 hours. And there's only 24 hours in that day. And if you're in school for 7.5 hours, and then you have your activities and you have your homework, and there's all these different things, we want to make sure that you have family time and whatever those other pieces are, the kids can't do it all. And I think it's really important that we really look at those kids. There are certain kids that can manage more than other kids, and they make it all look easy even for us. And there are kids every year that come into our office in tears because they feel like they're disappointing their parents, or they can no longer manage because they can't get it all done. So I implore you, we all implore you to really sit down as you're moving up from the 8th grade to 9th grade. It's a big adjustment. Things are so much different than they were even 10 years ago, let alone 20 years ago. And we really want you to look at those wonderful kids in front of you. You're crafting a program for them. It's their path, not ours. We want to make sure that what we're doing allows them to have lots of options, but fits within what they need to be fulfilled and where they're going. So please, please think about balance. I know that some people don't like that when we talk about it, but every year I feel like we've got to say it. And if you have questions, you can let us know. We'll be working with your kids over the next 4 years to encourage that as well. We want them to really go after the things they're passionate about. Obviously, they have to also do some things they don't want to do. But we want to make sure that they do it in a healthful, balanced way. And I won't say any more, or I'll keep going on. Is that okay?
Thanks, Susie. We had a question come in on the chat asking about one of our electives, AP Computer Science, and what grade levels that would be available for students. Our course catalog, that is a great way for you to get that information on any elective or any course that you may have a question about. But specifically, since that came up, AP Computer Science is available for 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. On our website, we do have a really handy dandy elective sheet of all of the electives that are planned to be available for freshmen. So if you ever have a question, or you can't get to the course catalog, it is linked on our website, but feel free to utilize that handout, and that will show every elective option for our incoming freshmen. But great question. AP Computer Science is available to all grade levels.
And there is also another question about the Korean, if we know of any Korean language options. There are more options for students as they get older, because they can look at some of the colleges and some of the institutes in Seattle, but you normally have to be an older student for that. I did just briefly, when I saw that, pull up, for instance, Bellevue College. They don't have a Korean option. They just have a community option. I do think there might be some in the Seattle institutes that are at Seattle U. But again, I know that the last time I looked with a student for a different language, it was pretty strict. They weren't taking high school students at that time. So if you do find something, you'll want to get pre-approval to make sure that it's a certificated program. I haven't seen Korean in any of even our apexes or anything right now. So.
Okay, so that is the formal part of our presentation. We would love to invite you to enter your questions into the chat if you have any remaining. Happy to show any resources that we can. If you've got a question about something online, I can show you that, but I'll give people some time to enter their questions into the chat. Well, while we're waiting, I'll go ahead and just share my screen, because I think this will be a really useful site if you've not visited it yet. This is our counseling website. So any resource I think you may possibly need when it comes to registering for the class of 2026, you can find that here. So right here under class of 2026 high school registration, all of these links are live. We'll give you all of the handouts that we referenced in the videos, plus more things that we are finding and that departments are sharing with us. We're just continuously posting the virtual curriculum fair link that will have all of the Zoom links for all of those upcoming sessions on the 25th. Skyward directions. As a reminder, parents, you are not able to select courses for your students. Students need to sign in with their student login. So if you don't know what that is, students, now is a great time to figure that out prior to February 1st. Let's go ahead and get that information. There's directions in our handouts on how to reset that information. But we've had a couple of parents say, I can't get in, I'm not seeing this course list. And that's because it's under the student login.
I always find that the middle school students are pretty savvy with the computers. It's once they get up to the high school, suddenly something happens, but they're really good with their Schoology and Skyward. And I've learned a lot of things from my freshmen when they come up. They kind of whip around on there more than some of the older kids. So.
Well, certainly we value your time. If you feel like you have had your questions answered, you are welcome to leave. We hope to see you on the 25th for our curriculum fair. If you do have some questions, you're welcome to stay and add those to the chat. We're here until 5:30. But you know, if you need to get in, thank you so much for being here and best of luck to you freshmen. We'll see you very soon.
Where did our recording go?
Are we ready to stop recording?
Yeah, but I've lost my button.
Hi, Susan. Yeah, we will have another session that starts at 6 o'clock. It's actually the exact same presentation. So no new information will be shared there. Same set of slides, same information. But yeah, we are having a second session if somebody wasn't able to make this session.